In the midst of all the high-end PC hardware releases recently, it can be easy to forget that the vast majority of gamers still game at 1080p, because if you want high frame rates and a great value GPU that won't break the bank, it's the perfect gaming resolution. But with the recent launch of Intel's new 2nd gen Arc GPUs, which actually provide competitive 1080p performance, what are the best options to consider in 2025? Well, in this video, I'll be walking through my favorite recommendations, talking about what to look for when buying a 1080p GPU, and if there are any surprises in store in the year ahead. Let's do this. I'm going to start things off with some important context on the state of the current GPU market, talk about a few important subjects to understand like VRAM, bottlenecking, and even things like FSR, DLSS, and XCSS, before walking through my favorite recommendations from the cheapest all the way through to the most expensive. So feel free to use the timestamps below to navigate through as you wish. The GPU market has been dominated by two major players for the longest time, AMD and Nvidia, until a couple of years ago, Intel decided to join the party, launch their 1st gen Arc GPUs, which weren't bad for a first attempt, but were hardly the finished product, and as such, something we couldn't really recommend. Fortunately, in the last few weeks, 2nd gen Arc has launched in the state of the Arc B580 and the Arc B570, cards that launch with a $249 and $219 MSRP, and apart from a few little performance oddities, actually had a pretty good reception, and provided decent price to performance metrics in lots of titles. That opens up the GPU landscape quite significantly for those of you looking to buy at 1080p, and hopefully puts a little more pressure on AMD and Nvidia to deliver better cards at more competitive prices in this segment. Now, when it comes to 1080p gaming, you only really need 8GB of VRAM, and VRAM was probably the biggest GPU talking point of last year. Now, of course, more VRAM is always a nice thing to have, and it allows those texture budgets in the games to get bigger and bigger, and is particularly important for AAA titles. But at 1080p, 10, 12, 14, 16 gigs is completely overkill, and 8 gigs is all you really need. A lot of the cards that I featured today are 8GB cards, but we have some higher VRAM cards too, and I'll talk about those as we go through. The more important thing, arguably, at 1080p, where you're trying to be more price conscious, is bottlenecking. Bottlenecking is in effect where one component holds another component back, and what you want to try and do is balance out all of your components in your build in the best way possible. Primarily, the biggest bottleneck you'll see is the GPU and the CPU. One will normally bottleneck the other, and it can change depending on the game and depending on how that game is optimized, how that game is designed, and the needs of that title. There are some games which are just more CPU heavy than others, and some games which are more GPU heavy than others too. The final thing to talk about is ray tracing, upscaling, and frame generation, aka fake frames. And I don't want to pander to that too much, but let's talk about it. There's a few things to discuss. Ray tracing is basically a totally different way to deal with lighting and shadows in the game. So it's going to take the source of where that light's coming from in your scene, like a car headlight, for example. It's going to then path that ray of light, see what it bounces off, and it maps the reflections and shadows much more accurately as a result. Nvidia's ray tracing is undoubtedly better than the competition as it stands at the moment. However, I do think Intel are making pretty good strides here too, and AMD's ray tracing, while perhaps not as good as the others, is still present and available. The other one is AI upscaling. This is XCSS on Intel, DLSS on Nvidia, and called FSR on AMD. And this is basically where the GPU will render out at a lower res and upscale to a higher res using AI to try and offset the visual fidelity fall off, but give you more frames in return. Nvidia DLSS is plainly head and shoulders above the rest in my view. And again, I think, not to bash AMD, the FSR tech they offer has quite a big impact on image quality in our testing, so something to consider. Frame generation is the other one. This is where GPUs will interleave generated frames between rasterized frames. So the GPU will generate 30, they'll then add another 30, so each alternate frame will be rendered using frame generation. The disadvantage is it can add a bit of latency. Nvidia again seem to be ahead of everybody else in this regard, and the hope is that other brands will catch up. But that's enough of the context. Let's look at the recommendations. Now, we've tested cards right from the humble 3050 right through to AMD's arguably more 1440p oriented RX 7700 XT. All the pricing you can see on your screen now is based on current pricing data from Newegg, except from the two new Arc cards. Obviously, we're using the MSRPs for those at the moment, but be aware those MSRPs may not be feasible once they have mass market appeal as time goes on. So let's look at the benchmarks. Now, if you've got less than $200 to spend, you really haven't got that much choice, with Nvidia's RTX 3050 probably being your best bet. Now, if you take a look at some of the benchmarks benchmark numbers on your screen, you can see that in your esports titles like Apex Legends, you get playable frame rates at 1080p high, over 150 frames in fact on the 3050. Fortnite at 1080p competitive settings is going to give you even more frame rate with over 230, that's everything tuned to low except the render distance, which is set to far. Even in games like Cyberpunk where rasterization is concerned, aka no ray tracing or anything like that, you're still going to see near enough 60 frames a second at decent 1080p settings. It starts to struggle more, understandably so, in modern AAA titles like Alan Wake 2 where you're going to see just 40 frames, and in all honesty, when you look at the cost per frame analysis, that's how many USD, based on the pricing we're using today, you have to spend per FPS, it just doesn't stack up all that well, especially against this, Intel's brand new Arc B570. Now I mentioned earlier that Arc can have a few little interesting caveats. It doesn't seem to like older CPUs. Hardware Unboxed did some great testing where they showed that on a Ryzen 5 5500, 5600X, you see quite a big performance drop off, and in some titles, you're just not going to get the optimization you would expect from Nvidia or AMD. Ultimately, Intel's driver team is, well, years and years behind what AMD and Nvidia have been able to do and tweak and work with developers on, and that is something you need to be aware of when you look at Arc. But for under $250, the Intel Arc B570 is a pretty compelling GPU. In Cyberpunk 2077 at 1080p using the rasterization settings and high preset, the B570 exceeds 90 frames per second on average. And even at 1440p high, you're still going to see over 60 FPS. 1440p high with upscaling enabled via XCSS on our Arc card and ray tracing set to medium, and the frame rates are still okay. 45 FPS is not the most amazing number in the world, but for goodness sake, you've got ray tracing enabled, and it does beat out both the RTX 4060 and RX 7600 in this test. Call of Duty's Black Ops 6 at 1080p high and the B570 just about exceeds the 60 FPS mark, and while it falls short to the 4060 and 7600, in our cost per frame analysis, it tends to beat those cards out in more scenarios than it misses. Now, if you've got a little more money to spend and you're happy to open up to around $300, your options do widen significantly, with AMD's RX 7600, Intel's 249 but more realistically 269, 279 Arc B580, Nvidia's 3060 at around 280, and Nvidia's newer 4060 at about 299. And this is what you can see as the hyper-competitive 1080p GPU segment. Working through the gaming benchmarks and starting off with Cyberpunk 2077, and actually in a bit of a surprise, the Intel Arc B580 actually leads the pack, with over 100 frames per second on average. The 4060 is fairly close behind with 93.6 frames per second, but AMD's RX 7600 is just plainly a bit disappointing, losing out to Intel's far cheaper B570 from our previous price bracket. Tune up to 1440p high and the B580 surges to a great lead. The 570 again from our previous price bracket does well, and the 4060 and 7600 just don't perform that great. They are VRAM limited compared to the Arc cards, which I think explains this drop off. Turn upscaling to quality and ray tracing to medium, and Arc again does well. AMD really struggle compared to their Nvidia counterpart. And in Nvidia's defense, we didn't test with frame generation. Nvidia's frame gen is just better than everybody else's and looks to be getting even more fantastic with the advent of DLSS 4 with multi-frame gen. Now, whether or not you like or believe in this frame generating sort of fake frame fiasco or not is totally up to you. But if you do, you're going to get better results with Nvidia than you will with anybody else. Our cost per frame analysis in Cyberpunk paints a similar picture to what you've seen in the graphs, with Intel cheaper than the competition and Nvidia charging a little bit more of an Nvidia tax for their GPUs and better feature set. In Call of Duty's Black Ops 6, the RX 7600 pulls a surprising lead with over 100 frames per second on average, and the 4060 comes in second place with 91. Intel Arc here shows where it can be quite inconsistent. Cyberpunk, it was smashing it, but Black Ops 6, a newer title, we've had less optimization, is just not as good. So from that point of view, it's a little disappointing. Fortnite at 1080p competitive, and Nvidia run away with this, over 300 frames per second on average. Again, the Arc card struggling and AMD sitting somewhere in the middle. The interesting thing is that the Intel Arc options, at least one of them, isn't actually the worst option on a cost per frame basis when you punch these numbers in, given how much cheaper the Intel cards are than what AMD and Nvidia have to offer. Move through into Hogwarts Legacy, and the 7600 does well this time around at 1080p. Again, that's roughly how you'd expect things to be based on the cost of the GPUs here. 1440p in Hogwarts Legacy, and again the 7600 does well. The 580 leapfrogs the 4060 this time around, not by a massive margin, but a little bit. Again, the VRAM on the Arc card helping it punch above its weight here just a little. Apex Legends at 1080p high puts the 7600 and 4060 again in the lead, with Intel Arc following closely afterwards. While at 1440p, again that VRAM paying dividends, the Intel Arc card does surge ahead. But we've got to remember, this is a 1080p GPU buyer's guide. And while I wanted to show you the 1440p data to illustrate the point, when people criticize Nvidia and to a lesser extent AMD for VRAM, and they say, well look guys, this is a 1080p card, they are right, and our testing data seems to back that up. Now in all honesty, this segment of the 1080p GPU market is just such a mixed bag that a clear recommendation is kind of hard to make. The 3060 just isn't really there, and as such, despite its extra VRAM compared to the 4060, is in my opinion not the card to buy. The 7600 surges ahead in some titles, but is a little inconsistent in more instances than I'd like. And when compared against the 4060, I can't help but feel like this, although I do wish it had another 2 or 4 gigs of VRAM, I think is the better bet. If you're being very cost conscious, Arc is the one to go for, but you have to be aware that there's more of a performance sacrifice with Intel Arc versus the 4060. And as much as I hate to be that guy, because I really like Arc, if you want something that just works, the 4060 is probably worth the extra little bit of cash. And that's the same conclusion that I came to in the end of my Arc build guide, which you can check out on the channel in the cards section now. But what about the higher end of the market? And again, I think these cards kind of show the point I was talking about. Looking at the graphs, they only really start to benefit at 1440p. And while yes, at 1080p, they are quicker than the other cards in our roundup, they bloody should be, because this one costs about $399, the 4060 Ti, and AMD's 7700 XT over $400. Now you compare that to our Arc card from just a moment ago with its $250 or so MSRP, and you're looking at a very substantial 60 or 70% cost increase to go for these cards over the cheaper competition. I wanted to include them so that we could have a few extra data points on the graph, and so that if you've got a bit more money to spend, you can see what you get. But honestly, these are for me 1440p GPUs above all else. So then what are my final recommendations? If you're shopping on a super tight budget, the lowest I would go is Intel Arc's B570. The 4060 helps Nvidia retain their title of being consistently good across the board, if a little more expensive, while you shouldn't discard the Intel Arc B580 for great value 1080p gaming that should only get better. You can find up-to-date pricing and availability for all these cards at the affiliate links in the description down below for Amazon in a range of regions and Newegg. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to get subscribed to see more from us. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Or at least I hope I'll see you. Please tune in again if you enjoyed the video. It means a lot.